Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to be giving you a review of Our History, His Story by Miss Belinda Bullard. And this is blessedheritage.com. So if you're interested in checking it out, make sure you go there. I'll put the link down in the description. Okay, so this is volume number 1 of the primary level, Our History, His Story. There are 2 volumes. Volume 2, we have not covered yet. Also, by blessedheritage.com, Miss Belinda has also created middle school and high school levels. The middle school level is called This Far by Faith. There is a volume 1 and a volume 2. And the high school level is When I Was a Child, volume 1 and volume 2. I have not taken a look at those, don't know anything about them. However, she does have curricula for middle school and high school if you're interested. If this is your first time, my name is Morgan and I'm glad you're here. Okay, let's talk about this. This whole curriculum, the purpose, what reads on the front, it says, this is using literature to weave the African American presence into the fabric of early American history. I will say that it doesn't just cover African American history. It covers Native American history, and it also talks about Chinese immigrants. There are books on Abraham Lincoln and George Washington. So much more than just African American history. However, the majority of the curriculum is based on African Americans in American history. This curriculum is like a Charlotte Mason style curriculum. It uses living books and picture books to teach your child American history. It starts at the beginning of time and it goes up until about 1870 or so. We have not finished this because we were using this with America Story 1, and I will link a video down below where I give you guys my review of America Story 1 by MasterBooks, but we used it in conjunction with that. And so America Story 1 stopped at 1850, so we stopped this one also. So once we start America Story 2, we will finish this curriculum, and hopefully the plan is to go on to volume number 2 for the elementary level. Just some background information, there are 32 weeks of reading and activities. It gives you what pages, what books to read every single day. Very straightforward, super easy to go through. There are also map skills. There are 3 lessons on map skills, which really helps with geography. So it helps to put what you're learning about in perspective when you go to a huge map for your child. It's always a good idea to study geography or U.S. geography when you're studying American history, or world geography when you're studying world history. It just goes together well. Some of the projects within here include cooking and arts and crafts, doing some additional research, and as well as nature studies and nature walks. There are also teaching points within here to help teach your younger children, which I think is great. So it has a section where it talks about parents, and it gives you ideas of things to think about and how to really kind of steer this curriculum and get the most out of the books that you're reading and the activities that you and your child will be doing. And then it also gives you a section to help with your younger children. At the end of every section, there is also a gray box. I'm going to show you guys in the flip through, but it gives you topics and questions to talk about and think about with your child. Overall, the curriculum is super simple. I'll be honest, it's very simple, but it is packed with so much rich information. Okay, so I'm gonna flip the camera around and give you guys a bird's eye view of what's in this curriculum. Okay guys, here is your flip through of Our History, His Story, Primary Level, Volume 1. It is using literature to weave the African American presence into the fabric of early American history by Belinda Bullard. So when you open up the curriculum, it is going to tell you her why. And in this passage portion of it, she explains that she was teaching her children and they just weren't getting the full picture of American history. Even Christian curriculum and other literature-based curricula, it just wasn't giving her what she wanted for her children. So she decided to create it after researching and not finding what it was that she was looking for. The features of this curriculum are learning across subject areas, hands-on learning activities, extended reading suggestions for specific passions and interests. This is to enhance your child's learning of American history. So a supplement. How to use it is here. It talks about timeline development and using it as a unit study. There are also videos of some people who did lap books with this. You can check those out as well, parts 1, 2, and 3. Questions and answers, and then selecting books that go beyond the reader is commonly found in most primary age history curriculum. It studies searching literature that was uplifting and accurate in capturing the emotions of people of color, not just African Americans. She wanted books that would come to life that covered everyone when we're talking about American history. She says that my prayer that each one who uses a Blessed Heritage products will be enlightened and inspired by the stories told. Okay, when you move on, you're going to get a list of needed resources, suggested books. These are not all mandatory. We did, like I said, sub some books in because they were hard to find, but majority of the books we were able to find. You can see all of my little notes here, check boxes and all the things, but they are used for the reading lessons. Other book suggestions are made within the curriculum. You have additional supplies needed, like a wall map, doing and putting together your own timeline, a map of the United States of America, then art supplies for the different activities, as well as science experiment materials. There are also recipes on a few of the pages. Here is your timeline, and it gives early American history and important African American figures within it. We are currently here about 1850. Harriet Tubman escaped from slavery, because that is where America's story stopped, and we'll pick up and finish when we start America's Story 2. Here's your suggested reading plan. It's 32 weeks, but it does talk about that this reading plan may be a little too aggressive for younger children. I found that some of the books did take us a little bit more time, like Pedro's Journal was a pretty good chapter book. My girls and I were able to read that together, but if your children are a lot younger, it may take you a little bit longer. So this is simply a guide. I say that with everything. You do not have to use this exactly how they have set it up, but this is a guide to kind of keep you on track, like a median of where you need to be with the curriculum. There are also opportunities for activity and wrap-up periods. This gives you a chance to catch up. Maybe you didn't do all the exercises you wanted to do, or maybe you do need an additional 3 or 4 days of reading. That's what those are for. There are also beginning map skills, and there are 3 lessons on those, and I'll show you a couple of them. So here's your entire reading plan for your 32 weeks. Here are your beginning map skills. This is lesson 1, north, south, east, and west. You're learning the cardinal directions here. And that's great for younger children. That helps them with being able to look at the map and go through geography with their history curriculum. The first section is early migration and navigation to the New World. It gives you a section for parents, and this is really for you to read so that you can understand where they're going with the books and ideas and discussion topics. When you get here, there are teaching points for small children. It will tell you to work on some of those things. It will also give you other books, and this is for, it says, for those on the strictest budget. Here are some additional book readings. I love that. That's perfect because not everybody can afford all of the books that are on this list. You may not be able to find them at your library, but here are some additional suggestions. Then it tells you what to read. Days 2, 3, 4, the books that you're going on, concluding this book, Return to the Discovery of Americas. It's all laid out for you. And here are your to talk and think about questions for you to discuss with your children. There are a few sections where it has Bible or scripture reference in it. Not a ton, but there are sections that have that. And then you move on to your next section. Once again, you have your parent, your teaching points, and your reading suggestions. Here are illustrations that were done by her children, which I think is awesome. And you're going to keep going through. Here are your activities. So you have a model TP. We did this one and really enjoyed it. We also did the corn husk dolls and enjoyed that. We skipped the Native American vest, but it talks about why you're doing these things and what they mean on the previous pages and throughout the reading. More to think about here. And then you have a fry bread recipe. We also did this and loved it. So good. Going on, here is your next lesson on beginner map skills. And then you just move on to all of the sections. Here are the answers to the fill in the blank for your beginning map skills. Teaching points again for smaller children, all of your reading, and then to ask and think about. There's also a yams recipe, sweet potato pie, sweet potato smoothie, all the things, y'all. So we're getting to the point to where, oh, this one says go on an activity, go to a print shop, a post office, library, fire station, sanitation department. And this is all related to inventions by Benjamin Franklin. When you get to this section, it's really talking about the time of Lewis and Clark, but it's going to give you some additional reading. So if you're thinking about the westward movement, here's a book for you to read. The War of 1812, the Gold Rush. Here are additional materials for you to dive into. So these were some of the books that I gave to my older girls because they could read those all by themselves and then come back and we discussed them. Moving forward, here's an activity. We did not do this activity actually, but this one is a nature one where you go out and you look for birds, bird eggs, spiders, spider webs. This is your nature exploration as you're out. When we're talking about the Trail of Tears as well, there's additional book readings here. We did not dive into those, but those are options. And then this one is developing your own constitution. We did do this. We wrote up a constitution with like 3 points and then have your child memorize the preamble of the constitution. My girls also memorized the preamble.
We, the people of the United States, in order to form a more perfect union, establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, provide for the common defense, promote the general welfare, and secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our posterity. Do ordain and establish this Constitution for the United States of America.
This is where we stopped within the curriculum, and we're going to finish up when we start America's Story 2. But as you can see, the activities continue throughout here. More map skills, which is great for your younger children. Then we get into Emancipation, War, and Reconstruction. And then we're going to keep moving till we get here. African American inventors and inventions. So if you want to research any of these things further, you're welcome to do so. Then it has the bibliography. And then you will move on to great homeschool trips. And this is done by each state, which I think is awesome. You can check out African American contributions and specific historical places in different states, and they have them all listed for all 50 states. Okay, now that you've seen inside of the curriculum, I'm going to tell you what we liked about it. It's really stress-free, you guys. The biggest stress was finding all of the books. There were a few that I was not able to get my hands on, so I did have to supplement those. There were also some that I could not check out from our library because they weren't there, so I did have to buy them. Some of them came to me in very less than desirable condition. I did have to send those back, but I was still able to get my hands on some of the others, and they were great from the used booksellers. The reason why I had to supplement some of the books is because I really just didn't want to pay for them, honestly. Some of the books were super expensive because they had minimal inventory, so the online booksellers are like charging a ton for the books, and I just refused to do that. So I found books that I felt like were equivalent to what we would be reading about, and it worked out great. Maybe 3 books I think I had to do that with. As I said before, it's perfect for younger ages. All of the picture books. Now there are some chapter books in there that are read alouds, but my older girls were able to read those. So I kind of sent some of the suggested books that are not on the reading schedule, but suggested within the lessons. Those were independent reads for my girls, which worked out really great. We read more of the picture books and some of the like medium-sized chapter books. And then my girls, my older ones, were able to go off and read some of the other suggested books for independent reading and then come back and we had a great discussion about it. And that brings me to that there are additional books within there that give you an opportunity to dig deeper, which I really enjoy. So you're not just bound to the book list, the 32 weeks of reading those specific books. It gives suggestions for other things, as I showed you guys before, of books that you can get that'll give you a little bit more information and insight. There is a timeline there, and what I liked about the timeline is that the events on the timeline, some of them were like uncommon events, like things that you maybe didn't know about, or I'll speak for myself, I did not know about, which I thought was awesome because now we can add this to our America Story 1 timeline. This entire time, my search for the perfect history curriculum is simply based off of I want to give my girls as full of a picture as I possibly can when it comes to American history. Adding in African Americans, Native Americans, we are a part of American history. So that is necessary for me, and that is the reason why I chose this curriculum. I did have some questions previously when I talked about it, about whether or not this can be a standalone curriculum. I used it alongside of America's Story, which I guess makes it a supplement because America's Story didn't have some things that I was looking for, so I was able to go and get it through this. Some other really cool things is that the illustrations within the curriculum are done by her children, or were done by her children when they were younger. And I think that's awesome that you're able to put your children's drawings within the curriculum, and it really just shows you how younger children can still have fun with doing a history curriculum through drawing. Couple of other things, very reasonably priced. $25. It was mailed to me, exactly what I was looking for, and it didn't break the bank in the process. All of, if not most of, the exercises within here, or the activities, were things that we already had at home. If not, I may have spent a little bit of extra money to go and grab them, but it was nothing that was extreme. And in the back of the book, as I showed you guys in the flip through, what I love is that there are opportunities for you to go to different states and see different historical monuments and places to go along with this curriculum, or just American history, period, but from the African American or Native Americans perspective. Love that, because if you're out and you're going somewhere to visit, why not stop? Why not turn a vacation into a learning opportunity? I mean, Everyone does that, right? All right, guys, if you have any additional questions about this curriculum, please put it down in the comments. I'm also going to link a couple of videos where I talked more about our history for the previous school year.